Hey, welcome to Yodi's Table. Today we'll be making these crepes with some maple apple butter. Look at how amazing these look. Of course, if you want to learn how to make this, please stay tuned. Catch you in a jiffy. Alrighty, so in order to get started with our crepes with maple apple butter, here are all of our ingredients. So I'm gonna start off by naming all of the ingredients that we need for our maple apple butter, which is gonna be 2 apples. These are Fuji apples, and I've just cut them into small little cubes. Sizing doesn't really matter, but you do wanna peel them off so that way you don't have the skin in your maple apple butter. And of course, they have oxidized a little bit, which is totally fine because we're cooking them down anyhow. Here I have a half a cup of maple syrup, and it's organic. Holla at your girl. And then here I have a half a cup of water, and here are all the spices that we'll be using. So I have a half a teaspoon of ginger, a half a teaspoon of allspice, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. And for our crepes, we'll be using half a cup of milk. I'm using evaporated milk because it's what I had in my fridge, but you can use any milk of your choice. 1 egg, half a cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of melted butter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2 teaspoons of sugar. We're gonna get started by making our crepe batter, and like we do with any good recipe, we're gonna mix all of our wet ingredients first and all of our dried ingredients before incorporating them together. So I'm gonna go ahead and into my evaporated milk, I'm gonna pour in my butter, and I'm also gonna just beat my egg really quick and then pop that in. And then I'm gonna toss in my vanilla extract. And then in this bowl, I'm just gonna add my dry ingredients, which is my flour and my sugar. And to this, I'm actually gonna add just a dash of salt. And give this a nice little whisk. So now we'll be adding our wet ingredients to our dry. And you wanna just do this a little bit at a time. We want a nice and smooth texture. So if you find that your crepe mixture is just a little bit on the thicker side like mine is, you can add some additional milk, which is what I'll be doing. We want the texture to be a little on the thinner side. We definitely don't want it to be like a pancake mixture, which I can kind of get away with making a pancake with this consistency. So let's add a little bit of milk, and that's better. So for now, we're gonna set this aside and get started on our maple apple butter. So for our maple apple butter, what we're gonna do is turn our burner on to a medium-high heat. I have my burner on about a 3, and we're really just gonna toss in all of our ingredients into a pot. So we have our apples, and then our maple syrup, our water, and all of our spices. And we're gonna let this cook down until all the apples have broken down and it's a really, really mushy texture. We want this to become a very thick consistency. And so it'll take a good 35 to 40 minutes, give or take. And so we wanna do this low and slow and continue to cook it on that 3.5 heat until you start to see everything break down and come together. So while we have our maple apple butter going, we're gonna get started on our crepes. So I'm gonna turn my burner on to a medium heat. So I have my burner on about a 3. And I'm just gonna take some butter and pop that right in. This is a non-stick pan, but I do want a little bit of a crispy edge on them. And so we're gonna let that heat up. And for this, I'm using a half a cup measure to scoop out the crepe mixture. So once our pan is heated up, we're gonna take our batter and just pop it right on. want to move this around. We want a really, really thin texture. And you know the bottom part is cooked because you'll start to see that the batter goes a little bit dry on the top. And so give it like 5 seconds. Okay, so that's what we're looking for on the opposite side. And this is all said and done. So I'm gonna just pop it onto a plate. I mean, if I can get it on this plate, and repeat the steps. So this is what our crepes look like. Nice and thin. And so we're gonna let these cool off while we're waiting for our maple apple butter to finish cooking. Alrighty, so our apples have cooked down tremendously. You can tell that they're starting to break down and super, super soft. There's just a tad bit of liquid at the bottom, but that's entirely fine. And so we're gonna finish this off by popping in a teaspoon of butter and give this a good mix. So from here, what we'll be doing is just taking our blender and we're gonna pop our apples right in here. So we wanna make sure that all of our apples are in there. And we're just gonna blend this up, and we want a really smooth consistency, so keep blending until you don't see any more chunks of apple. This should take approximately a minute or two. All right, we'll be back. So to assemble our crepes with maple apple butter, we have our finished crepes, we have our maple apple butter, we have some maple syrup, some apple slices, and some powdered sugar for dusting. Of course, this is all optional. This is just the way that I choose to do it. So we're gonna take a spoonful of our maple apple butter and put it to one side of the crepe and just kind of smooth that out. And then we're gonna take our crepe, fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. So that way you have it in a nice little triangle. And so from here, what we'll do is we're gonna go ahead and dust our powdered sugar on. Make it look like it's snowing. And then we're gonna take our apples and just kind of fan them out. And then we're just gonna drizzle some maple syrup right on top. And there we have it. Our crepes with some maple apple butter. I hope you give this a try, and you should really smell this room because it smells amazing. It smells like fall. Of course, if you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace until next time.